I don't understand this. Like, I feel like I watched a different movie than everybody else. Okay, welcome back. Josh here, and today we'll be talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This movie was directed by George Miller, the director that brought you Babe, Happy Feet 2, The Witches of Eastwick, and the juicy off-screen real-life drama between Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy. I don't need to name that movie, but you know which one I'm talking about. It stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. Welcome back to the Wasteland, full of Australian accents, rectal-themed names, pool car designs, and a piss boy. It's a real thing. Here, we're taken back to the beginning of the one and only Furiosa. Recognized only by shaving her head, losing her arm, wearing the exact same clothes, and hearing her name from her mom and everybody else, and even herself, over and over again. This is Furiosa. We follow, yep, you guessed it.
Furiosa! 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 Furiosa!
From her childhood all the way to her cybernetic implant that she took off of a rusty, webbed-ridden car engine project? I don't know, something like that. During her childhood, Dementis, the chariot-riding, large, hobbit dwarf designed psychopath, kills her mother, steals her, and is able to take over Gastown. This is only achieved by our old antagonist, or rather the younger version of our old antagonist. He aged like fine wine, Immortan Joe. Taking Furiosa and the weird cook who makes cock sausage, for chronological safety reasons. Furiosa grows up, is mentored by discount Mad Max, named Praetorian Jack. He's actually really cool. He's not just a discount Mad Max. He was really cool. And after another run-in with Santa Claus's uglier jacked brother, he takes away yet another thing that Furiosa cherishes. Continuing her incredibly long journey, Furiosa catches up to Dementis to exact her revenge. Straightforward, extremely familiar. Now, George Miller is back at it with the creative road action. Choreography and that specific action is so cool, and it looks so dangerous and organic within those scenes. I'm even feeling, kind of like that tight butthole feel and the clenching of all things whenever something is happening. If somebody is crushed by a wheel or ignited on fire, or for some reason now they can use parachutes and propellers and shit like that to fly around. That action, that choreography, and that imagination really can only be coming from George Miller. Also, the Mad Max world building, that whole gas town, the Citadel, and the Bullet Farm, all those kind of things. Like, they have like these very interesting ways of creating these districts and the lore behind it without actually having to tell us. That just goes to show you of like the actual lore and the craziness that was what George Miller kind of put together as part of his story and as part of Mad Max. I feel like this movie really relied heavily on the big success that was the 2015 Fury Road. Here, it's taken a step back. I think it's somewhat deliberate. It kind of feels like it's one of those movies where it's meant to be slow and it's meant to be, lore building within one of the characters. But then what happens is that the one character itself feels way too familiar to another, right? I think that Mad Max and Furiosa kind of share similarities. What was strange, though, is that they took like the Mad Max formula and then put it into Furiosa, the prequel. And Furiosa kind of acted more as Mad Max in this. There is something about how the movie is presented that feels like George Miller had zero idea how he was going to direct the movie. The way that it was filmed. Now, the choreography for the action and all that other kind of stuff, like the design and the lore building and everything like that, worked so well and beautifully. But it was almost like his directing was the last thing that he was thinking about. The design itself kind of felt like this weird prosthetic green screen, blue screen, trying to use the technology more for this movie rather than keeping it dirtier in the sand. There's certain things when you take a step back, it looks more like they shot it on a stage rather than on location. It's like we went from Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit. It's like Fury Road was the main game, and Furiosa was just a DLC. Lastly, I think that the movie had zero identity. When it came to the cinematography, looks too clean, looks too studio-like, looks too stage-like. Even within the designs themselves, and even showing off Immortan Joe and the character designs and all these kind of things, it looked too clean, which is very weird because it kind of feels like it should be dirtier. You know, the prosthetics look cool and everything like that, but there's something else that's missing, like the wasteland part of it. You can put as much oil as you want on their faces. It's still just like there's like this character identity disconnect. The CGI also was just absolutely awful.
Absolutely awful.
It was almost like it was more of a spotlight in the film itself than what we're kind of used to. I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't fucking work. This one just didn't feel as practical. I don't know why I'm shitting. I don't, it's not a bad movie. It's just that it doesn't, I don't understand this. Like, I feel like I watched a different movie than everybody else. I'm seeing, 9 out of 10s and 90s and all of the kind of shit and like big smiles and stuff. I don't know what the fuck I'm missing. I'm missing something. I'm missing. I mean, it's a good action film. And if you want more Mad Max, just rewatch Mad Max Fury Road again. This just doesn't, I don't think it matters. Obviously, take my shit with a grain of salt. I mean, what the fuck do I know? It's a good movie, but man, oh man, it's hard not to compare between this and the epic that was Fury Road. But when it comes to as an addition, it is way more of the Hobbit trilogy than it is an addition the same way that the Lord of the Rings trilogy was. Thank you for watching. What did you think of it? Did you get around to actually watching it? What's your favorite Mad Max movie? What's your favorite apocalypse movie? Love to know. But thank you again for tuning in. And I'm gonna go piss boy myself.